When you look at the DBD roster, there are so many popular characters. You got Myers, Bubba, even Demo's back now. But it's clear, some are still missing. So let's look into the licenses I would most like to see come to DBD, each with their possible killer and survivor counterparts. 10th spot is Phasmophobia. I think this would be a solo killer chapter, as there is really no specific survivor which could be chosen from the game. But it's clear, the killer would be one of the main ghosts, most likely the demon, as it's the most aggressive ghost. Yet, it could be a different style of killer that we haven't seen before. It can change between multiple forms, and the survivors must identify it to change it into a nerfed M1 killer. Although many things could happen with the ghost aspect, as the survivors might have to obtain ghost hunting equipment from specific chests, like Wesker and Nemesis do, to help them fight the ghost or reveal it. A sanity meter could also be introduced for the survivors, where like Wesker's Ouroboros, it slowly increases throughout the match, and if it goes above a certain threshold, they might become vulnerable to the ghost killer. I'd love to see DBD introduce something similar to this. In 9th place is Little Nightmares. The survivor has to be Six. Come on, she's the main protagonist throughout most of the game, and is quite iconic, always wearing a yellow raincoat. But for the killer, as there's so many antagonists, it's quite hard to pick who the killer would be. Yeah, I'd have to go with the lady. Many of you gonna say the Thin Man, as he's one of the best bosses of Little Nightmares 2, and has a great story impact. However, he uses TVs like Omrio, and can teleport like Nurse, so it would be very similar to the killers already in DBD. So in my opinion, the lady would just fit better, as her power could be utilizing broken mirrors to traverse the map, or being able to hit through them like portals, while the survivors could find intact mirrors around the map to deter her with, which hasn't really been done before in DBD. The Moor could also be added as a map, due to it being quite ominous with all the continuous darkness and weird structures everywhere. But say just the mannequins in the ladies' room, like that'd be horrifying to walk around, which would kind of fit the eerie feel of DBD quite well. 8th place is the Netflix show Bird Box. You may think if you've seen this show, well, how would there be a killer for this chapter? In the series, you never saw the monster. It only moves through bushes and trees. You can never see it, it's literally invisible. Yet its power could allow it to possess one survivor for a certain period of time, as it does in the series, to injure the survivors by betraying them. This could make a completely new gameplay mechanic, or be implemented as a limited time mode, as it wouldn't really fit in the original game. But if it did, the survivor would have to be Mallory, or Tom, as they're the most influential characters in the series. As for a map, it could be anything really. Possibly the house they spend most of the series in, as well as maybe the forest they have to traverse to get to the safe haven near the end of the series. This is all up for debate, I don't really know. 7th license is the forest. The in-depth lore of the forest means a few people could be picked for the survivor. For example, it could be Eric LeBlanc, the protagonist of the first game, or Timmy, his son, or Jack Holt, the protagonist of the second game. Although, in my opinion, it's most likely Timmy, as he's present in both games, as well as being the most important with the overall story. The killer, on the other hand, has a couple of options. In my opinion, it should be Megan, the final boss of the first game, and a mutated, evolved helicopter form, because she could have a power like Oni, where you have to build up a mutation meter, which makes you really fast and powerful, but then you lose it after a certain amount of time. I don't know, you might be able to like fling your limbs around or something, like the Unknown, I don't know. But on the other hand, it could be the first double killer drop, with both Edward and Barbara Puffton from the second game, with their own specific powers. Barbara's power could be a launch, like Victor, as she does when she's chasing you, and Edward, a much faster movement speed, like 5 meters per second or something silly like that. These two could be combined with the 2v8 mode, so it's just the survivors versus the Puftons. But that's just an afterthought. 6th spot is I Am Legend. This is a strange one, as I was going to choose The Walking Dead, but I'm sorry. The vampire zombie things in I Am Legend are on a different level, and with the only zombies in DBD being Nemesis's basic bitch zombies, we're due for an update. A large brute zombie could be the playable killer, where you could command small herds of zombies which spawn all around the map to attack the survivors in a specific area. And these are not grunts like Norman and Sandra. Oh no. These are going to be full quarterback WWE speed demons, jumping through windows like COD zombies. And to combat this, the survivors could get shields or small grenades like flashbangs from varied chests throughout the map, which could disable them for a period of time. Balancing this though, yeah, not happening. On the other side of things, Robert Neville has got to be the survivor. He's an absolute unit. Bro survived for over 3 years by himself, and made light work of basically every zombie he encountered. Definitely deserves to be a part of the survivor roster. He might need a reskin though. Ever since the slap of 22, things with Will Smith have got a bit iffy. Things might go wrong down the pipeline, you never know. 5th place introduces The Shining, a classic horror which always deserves to be in DBD. You'd think the survivor would be Jack, as he's the protagonist throughout most of the film, but because he's also the antagonist towards the end of the film, really he can't be. I'm not having an attempted murderer be on the same gen as an innocent Meg. It's not happening, that's just cruel. So instead, Wendy is most likely the survivor, as she spends part of the film trying to escape Jack. The killer, on the other hand, is most likely Jack. It could be the twins in in the hallway, or the ghost woman in the bathroom, but no one makes a more dangerous impression than Jack, wielding an axe like the Huntress with some type of possession power. And as he dies in the snow, the survivors could use some freezing ability to delay him throughout the game. Last, the map has got to be the hotel. Running along the hallways and looping through the rooms would be like a scene from Scooby-Doo. And added Easter eggs throughout the hotel would be sick. For example, some event could happen in room 237 or something. I don't know, that'd be creepy. Next up in 4th place is It. Our favourite dancing clown should 100% be a part of the killer roster. His power in the films is physical manipulation, basically allowing him to transform into literally anything, like some fucked up game of prop hunt. So his power in DBD would probably be just that, being able to change into numerous things to sneak up on survivors while being undetectable to secure some free hits. Sounds pretty menacing. Yet seeming this would be way overpowered, some counterplay for the survivors might be to create imaginary generators for you to accidentally check, or fake survivors for you to mistakenly chase, as his main weakness throughout the films is imagination. For a survivor though, it could be any of the main characters really. Take your pick. Bill, Eddie, Richie, Beverly, Mike, or Ben. I don't know, one of them. They all present good additions to the story, so all of them have a shot of being picked. This is in their grown-up form though, shown in It Chapter 2, obviously. We're not having children running around getting chased. And for a map, a sewer would be sick. You'd lose your way continually, but still, accidentally running into the killer the whole time would be so funny. In the 3rd spot is A Quiet Place. A Death Angel in DBD would be amazing. And yes, that is their name. Don't worry, I had to look it up too. Still, a sound-oriented power would be so unique. You'd always have to be monitoring your sound output to make sure you weren't making too much noise to attract the killer. And the Death Angel could have a radius where all the loud sound actions like running, doing gens, and even slow vaulting allows it to see your aura or trigger a sound cue where you are. Yet to combat this, you might be able to deploy sound jammers, like Alien's flamethrowers, to stop it hearing you in a large range. This killer concept would be sick, and I'd love to see it in the game. For the survivors though, it could be Lee, Evelyn, or Reagan really. Most likely Evelyn, because she survives as a widow for a long time during the apocalypse, and even has the strength to give birth in silence. If I was a woman, I would not be able to do that. The Abbott farm would also make for a great map, similar to Coldwind, yeah, but it could be set at night when the Death Angels attack to give it a more scare factor, and different from Coldwind really. 2nd place goes to Friday the 13th. It had to be on here, didn't it? Jason has been a horror icon for years, and the hockey masked man needs to be in DBD. His supernatural strength and almost immortality power might accidentally make him similar to Myers, yet his power could be a lot different, due to him having the capability to rival the entity. In his ability, he could be able to completely destroy vaults and pallets simply by walking through them. To make it fair though, this would have to be quite a difficult power to get. Probably something to do with hooks. For example, every hook he gets, it fills up a meter, where if he gets 2 hooks, he can destroy 1 object every minute, 4 hooks, 2 per minute, all the way up to 4 destroyed objects per minute at 8 hooks. Sounds a bit far-fetched, I know, but it would be cool. I don't know. The survivor on the other hand must be Tommy Jarvis. He's Jason's arch nemesis, and the first one to be able to kill him. He's fought Jason multiple times, and in my opinion is the most suited for the survivor role. And last, the license I'm most excited to see. This might be a bit of a hot take, but it's Five Nights at Freddy's. As the announcement dropped recently for FNAF's 10-year anniversary, everyone's been hyped to see who the killer and survivor are going to be, and where the map will showcase. So I'll take my time and go through the most likely possibility. Some non-FNAF fans might think the killer's going to be Freddy Fazbear, which is a worthy assumption. I mean, he's literally on the cover. But really, the killer has got to be Springtrap. He's the main antagonist of the entire franchise, in all 10 games and multiple more spin-offs. His power could be to do with the spring locks he's stuck in, and how he could trap the survivors, and cause them slowly to get spring locked, so you have to remove it like pig's traps. But this would be kind of boring. So to make it more like a FNAF game, you might be able to force the survivors into a gulag situation, where they have to repel him from an office for a short period of time before being thrown back into the map. But it could be anything. All we really know is, he'll always come back. The survivor to go with him must be Michael Afton. He's William's son, and also the protagonist you play as in 5 out of the 10 games. Because of this alone, he's an obvious choice. Probably not in his Purple Dead form though.
Yeah,
that would not really suit DBD. Finally, the map is gonna be the pizzeria. It was the first FNAF location we were ever introduced to, and would make for a great map, looping around all the tables, making the killer whiff on the animatronics, and hopefully even being able to use the cameras and the doors in the office. That would just be the icing on the cake, surely. Well, that's my list. Comment down below which licenses you would like to see in DBD.